Hi, Alan Stratton from Woodturning. In this video, I'm going to take a little bit of a nostalgia trip. Back in the day before I had this nice lathe, I still had a lathe, but not quite so good, and I still turned the best I could. I had a lot of family concerns and a limited budget, and we didn't use pen kits at that time. We used plastic pens that we could pull the filler out of and then incorporate into our own desk pen sets. I'm not even sure pen kits existed at that time. Anyway, this is a nice desk pen, and let's make it today. Meanwhile, don't forget the Christmas Ornament Challenge coming up.
For the pen base, I've selected a small piece of maple with burl figure. The wood is small with nothing to spare for a tenon. I turned a piece of pine with a long tenon, then glued the maple to the pine with white glue in case any would show. The glue is now dry, but I still want tailstock support, but I've cushioned the live center with a rubber stopper. I'm turning the upper surface into an ogee shape, removing enough wood to remove all voids and irregularities. I'm using a gouge. I'm also undercutting the base just a little bit with a parting tool. Then sand and finish with lacquer. Now I need that long tenon I cut on the pine. I want the pen to mount at a slant, so I'm loosening the chuck jaws and tipping the pine tenon as much as I dare. Then drill a 3/8 inch hole into the base to serve as a mortise. Then return the wood mount to its original position to part off the base from the pine. While parting it, I'm trying to cut a hollow into the underside. I'll clean up the base at the drill press. Now for the pen. I'm using a standard pen blank, although I would prefer something a little longer to give me more room for a tenon for mounting. The biggest risk from past pens is drilling a hole this diameter and this deep without it wandering out the side. A drill press is risky. A better bet is to drill it on the lathe. Even then, a long, thin bit can wander off from the center. I'll do as much as I can to keep it centered. First, the pen blank is straight grain of unknown tropical species. Second, I'm mounting it as deeply as I can in long nose jaws. Third, I'm starting the hole with a short bit chucked up deeply into the chuck as possible. Fourth, I'm starting very slowly and drilling only at 1/4 inch before backing off to clear chips. Fifth, once I've drilled as deeply as I can with the short bit, I'm switching to the long bit, long enough to complete the hole. With that done, I can switch to a larger diameter bit to accommodate the pen shank. With the drilling completed, I can turn the actual pen. There is barely enough wood to hold on to, but once the other end is centered into a cone live center, I can cinch it down on the last 1/2 inch of the pen blank. I'll rough it down with a spindle gouge, then switch to a sharp skew. I don't like a lot of fancy work where my fingers go on a pen, so my design is simplistic yet elegant. After shaping, I sanded up through 400 grit before applying lacquer, then sanded the dry lacquer with 600 grit and applied more lacquer for a total of 4 coats. I parted off the pen. Now, how to reverse it? I put the drill chuck into the spindle with the long drill bit I used to drill the hole. As long as I kept pressure on the chuck and the pen, I managed to sand the freshly parted end of the pen and apply more lacquer to it. Whew, that was close. Next best would have been to pad the pen in the long nose jaws. Now for a little piece to put the pen in that is mounted to the base. I don't have enough wood from the pen blank, so I'll use a piece of scrap walnut. My first job is to cut a 3/8 inch tenon on the end to attach it to the base. Here's where my customized end wrenches can work for me. After rough rounding with a gouge, I grabbed the wrench one size bigger than the 3/8 inch target. The bigger wrenches are easier to hold and cut better. Then switched to the 3/8 inch. Even then, these were cheap wrenches and are a bit oversized, but I'm close enough to finish easily with my skew. Then on to start shaping the body while it is still far from the chuck jaws. I'll even sand it now. Now I can reverse the wood and mount it with the tenon. I'll drill it to fit the pen about 1 inch up from the end, then switch to a smaller bit for the next little bit, then switch to a 1/4 inch bit for the tip of the pen. Those holes left ridges in the wood. I'll smooth them with a small hollowing tool. Yep, it's the one I made from an Allen wrench. Then sand and finish with lacquer. After the lacquer was dry, I glued this piece into the burl base. Well, there is my desk pen. My pen kit cost about $1.25 for a dozen pens. Well, not quite. The package had 2 bonus pens. I did not have to glue in tubes or use a pen mandrel or use a pen press. I did use a standard pen blank, although a longer piece would have been more comfortable turning. What I have now is a very nice turned pen with a lot of potential to dress it up even more in the pen or in the stand. But I like this one just as it is. That is all for my pen set. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and tell your friends. Always wear your full face shield. Goggles are not enough protection. Until next week, this is Alan Stratton from As Wood Turns. Come back next week for a new video, and don't forget the Christmas Ornament Challenge coming up.